Good afternoon, everybody. We are going to continue to look through the day three tight ends for that special gem. It is going to get harder to find the right guy, but we have to try. And we're going to start with a decent candidate for being that special gem. It's Will Mallory of the Miami Hurricanes, another guy who got some positive attention at the combine and seems to be a pretty good athlete. Now, it's not quite the same as a guy like Kuntz. Will Mallory, 24 years old, he's a little bit on the smaller side. Not even 6'5", sub 240. So a little more Jacob Hollister and a little less Noah Fant on this guy. 32 and a quarter inch arms are all right. 9 and 3/8 inch hands, pretty good. Um, he had a really nice 40 time, 4.54. 10-yard split was pretty good too, 159. Jumped pretty good too, 36 and a half inch vert, 10 foot 1 inch broad, workable. Good athlete for sure, but it makes more sense when you see that he's sub 140. So it's not freakish athleticism, it's just really good athleticism. 20 bench press reps too, by the way. Um, Big boards kind of have him hanging around the fifth. Couple have him down around the sixth. The aggregate currently has him around the fifth and sixth round, somewhere around there. Um, Last year was productive. 538 yards, 42 catches, 3 touchdowns, just 2 drops in 12 games. Disastrous run block rate, though. 36.6. That's as bad as it gets almost on PFF. 2021 still gave you 30 catches in 11 games. Moderately productive. Decent. Workable. So Will Mallory does have the athleticism and the playmaking ability to at least be considered as a logical Noah Fant replacement. But does he have enough of the all-around game to become a number one tight end? He lined up in line and in the slot for the Hurricanes, I can say that, so he's got some versatility. He can play as a receiver. He can do a little bit of that at least. He's good at making plays after getting the ball in his hands. He's somebody who Miami liked to use on screens and little dump-offs to the flat, and then he would turn up field and go make things happen. He was good at that. He's good blocking in space. If you like have him blocking for like a screen pass or at the second level, have him like act as a puller. He's good at that kind of stuff. He can find the guy in space and lay a hit on him to block. And he's a smart attacker of zone defenses. Now, that all sounds pretty decent, and I'm going to say it. Will Mallory's one of the better tight ends who you could get later in the draft and potentially replace a guy like a Noah Fant. Now he doesn't have great football functional strength in terms of blocking in line. Like if you try to have him block defensive ends or even some bigger linebackers, it's probably not going to go well for him. Um, Even though he showed great athleticism on at the combine, when he puts on pads and actually plays football, you don't totally see all of those athletic traits cleanly translate to what he's doing out there. If you're physical with him at the point of catch, he usually loses the battle. He kind of wilts a little bit when he's actually challenged at the point of the ball coming down, and he is on the small side. He is a little bit small. Again, it's a little Jacob Hollister like. It's a far cry from Darnell Washington. So he's definitely interesting, but there's a lot of issues here. I don't have as much faith in Will Mallory realizing his potential as I do even a Zach Kuntz. So I would say fifth round. I think fifth round is fair. I like him, but I don't love him. Cameron Latu is our next guy. Alabama Crimson Tide, a 23-year-old. 6'4", 242 pounds, so a little bit small. 32 and 3/8 inch arms, 9.5 inch hands. The big boards pretty much all have him getting drafted, some in the 7th, 6th, 5th. One even has him in the 4th. The aggregate currently has him hanging around the 5th. Last year, he gave you 11 games and 30 catches for Bryce Young, 377 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 drops. Given how few catches he had, that's not good. Run block grade was okay. The previous year, he was actually a little bit more productive. He gave you 8 touchdowns in one season. Really nice red zone threat in 2021. The thing about Cameron Latu that's fun is that he only recently transitioned to playing on offense. He was a defensive lineman, I believe, until like his last year of high school. So he's kind of new. So he does have upside. that a 23-year-old might not normally have. He lined up as a receiver as well for Alabama, outside and in the slot, so he's got flexibility. And he's a reliable possession receiver. He's somebody who runs routes over the middle, gets open, sits down, catches the ball, and moves the chains. I do believe he's a pretty good run blocker, despite him not having a very good run block grade from PFF last year. I do think that that is something that he's at least a little bit of a positive in. He's really good at finding holes in zone. I think he's going to be really good in that role of finding holes in the zone for an offense and getting the 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 7 picked up. Good route runner, too. So he's kind of a steady, reliable type of tight end. But what he has in reliability, he lacks in upside. He's not much of an athlete, not going to threaten you down the field. He's not going to be running vertical routes and getting open and making big 60-yard touchdowns. You put him in man coverage, he's another one of these guys who just doesn't have the quicks to get open. He'll get blanketed. He'll come to the break in his route. He'll break. He'll get open for a second, and then he'll quickly get covered up again because the guy going up against him is likely going to be faster than him. So going to be tough for him to consistently get open at the NFL level. So he's kind of a classic, safe but not sexy tight end who keeps things moving. He's a pretty good blocker. He can stay on the field for run plays and get the job done. He can stay on the field throughout the drive. He can go get open on 3rd down, make a catch as a safety blanket, Jason Witten style, keep the drive moving. But he's not going to make the game-changing plays that make SportsCenter and flip games and save games. He's not really going to do that stuff. He's going to do the safe and sane stuff. Low ceiling, but relatively high floor as well. I feel like this guy's a lock to at least be NFL caliber. I would target him in the 6th round because a tight end like this there's just nothing spicy here. And I feel like you can find plenty of tight ends like this around day 3. Maybe I would target him in the 5th. 5th round would be okay. But again, that's just objective value. In this situation, I don't know what Cameron Latu is doing for us other than replacing Will Dissly in a year. And I don't need to replace Will Dissly now when I'm not going to replace him for a year. So, Okay. One last guy for this video, we have Brenton Strange of Penn State. This is actually a guy that some big boards really like. He's kind of the aberration in this day 3 group in that some of the big boards have him going in the first 2 days. Penn State, 22 years old, 6'4", 253 pounds. Little bit small, but not critically so. I'd say about average size, actually. 31 and an 1/8 inch arms, 9 and 5/8 inch hands. 4.7 40, 157 10-yard splits, so slow, but accelerates okay. 36-inch vert, 10-foot 4-inch broad, so decent explosion. 3-cone was a little bit slow. 20-yard shuttle was a little bit slow. A lot of bench press reps, though. So mixed bag at the combine, mixed bag with his measurements. Tankathon has him going round 3. ESPN has him going round 2. So some big boards really like him, but a couple of the others have him barely getting drafted. The aggregate actually has him in the 5th round right now, I believe. So 5th round, that seems to be a reasonable compromise between these two extreme positions. Last year was his most productive year. 32 catches, 362 yards, 5 touchdowns. Just the 1 drop out of 32 catches. An okay run block grade. The year before, he produced a little bit, but nothing over the top. And that's where he is now as a player. So let's try to figure out what's going on with Brenton Strange. Could he be that unicorn? He is a pretty good athlete for his size. There's some stuff here that pops out. Like the 10-yard split is good. The explosiveness is good. So for his size, I can work with that for sure. He's a really good inline blocker. You have him on the field for run plays. He's going to help your run game immensely. You get him the ball in his hands. He's going to turn into a bowling ball. He's going to knock people over. He's going to get extra yards after the catch. He's got good hands. Really hard to bring down once he gets the ball in his hands too. So he's going to make plays that you wouldn't typically expect a blocking tight end to be able to make. He's going to benefit the offense's running game tremendously because of all the things he does as a blocker in space and in line. And he is able to win physically at the point of catch. So if he's got defenders draped on him, when the ball's coming, he'll find a way to make a play. If he's got a sea of hands around him, he's going to find a way to be the hands that get on the ball. So a lot of stuff to like about Brenton Strange. Now, I do think his pass protection could get a little bit better, even though his run blocking is good. Needs to improve there. He's going to have to develop generally in terms of things like route running and technique and footwork, stuff like that. There is going to be some learning curve for him. He doesn't have high-end top speed. Route running needs to improve a little bit. So he's going to need some time. I do think out of the gate, he'll be a good inline blocker. At the very least, he'll be somebody who helps your running game with his blocking. But even though I like him a lot, it's going to take too long for him to get to the point where he's ready to go. We need somebody who can go now. Brenton Strange is not really that. I'd put a 5th round grade on him. I do like him quite a bit, but miscast for this situation. I wouldn't take him until a little bit later when the value becomes impossible to override. But again, even in that situation, it's like, well, we're going to cut him anyway, right? He's not going to actually make the team, so who cares? All right, that was another batch of Day 3 tight ends. Let me know what you think about these guys. We're going to do one more tight end video later today, 3 more guys, and then we're moving on to another position tomorrow. See you guys later. Probably see you on stream later. Go Hawks.